So, the Munsters trailer landed today. I have been looking forward to this. I have been a big advocate for this movie. I have faith in Rob Zombie. I have faith in Rob Zombie. I have faith in Rob Zombie.
It's like a stake through my dead black.
Oh no.
Guys on you that you were special.
Oh no.
If you don't feel this.
I don't know about
There's one
this.
thing I know, is that the rest of the world melted away.
Oh no. I don't know what to think. I want to have faith. This is good. I'm just going to ignore this. I'm going to ignore this trailer. This trailer did not happen today. Hello, friends. My name is Stevie Cade, and welcome to Film Trigger. I've been gone for a few weeks. Sure have. Took a little vacation, redid the studio. Not only did I shift things around a little bit, but I also made enough room comfortably in the studio for multiple people to join me in the studio. But I'm not going to dive into that now because I am back doing a review for my most anticipated movie of the year, at least until I saw the trailer, The Munsters. That's a thing I watched on Netflix. Anyhow, before we get all into that, if you could hit that like, thumbs up button, that subscribe button, and a little bell ding ding so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Without further ado, let's dive into my review for The Munsters.
Oh, I guess we're gonna have to get used to it.
Yes, The Munsters. Oh man, I was a big advocate for this movie. Everything about this movie made sense to me. Rob Zombie had the potential to really change his game here and become a family-friendly known director. He could have changed his entire career with this. And I was really excited for what he could have done, but I hate it. I have plenty of negatives to talk about when it comes to this film, but there are some things I can take away that are positive. So let's dive into what I do like about this movie. Number one, there are pockets of charm sprinkled throughout this film. There's moments where I really saw what Rob Zombie was attempting to capture, and that was the true essence of the original TV series. I really enjoyed those parts of the movie, and the driving force behind a lot of these moments were actually some of the characters in the cast. There's not many, but there's a couple, maybe even a few actors that I really think brought their A game and really made this movie salvageable in certain aspects. Jeez, I'm really trying here. I'm really trying to be positive. Let's just start off with Daniel, I think Roebuck. I don't remember how his last name is pronounced, but he plays grandpa in this movie, or father-in-law, or father, because he's not technically a grandpa yet. I thought he really captured the spirit of Al Lewis, the guy that originally played grandpa in the TV series, but also brought his own interpretation of it. So you got a little something old and a little something new, and I think he knocked it out of the park, but he also brought some new elements into the character that I also really enjoyed.
I can whip you up a humpy down in the land.
Oh no! Remember what happened last time?
He was definitely one of those pockets of charm that I would find in this movie. Whenever he was on screen, I dug it. I was like, okay, at least I got Grandpa on screen. I can enjoy this movie, at least for this moment. Another person actually is Thomas Boykin. Boykin? I'm really having trouble with names today. He's the gentleman that plays Lester, or the werewolf, or Lily's brother, whatever you want to call him.
Oh, I don't like the sound of that.
Again, he brought something familiar that you recognize from the old TV series, and he added his own flair to it. That's what this movie needs. Something recognizable with something new and fresh and entertaining. Entertaining being the operative word here. I thought his portrayal of Lester was another one of those nice little elements that I did enjoy when he was on screen. And then we have Richard Brake. Now listen, Richard Brake plays two different characters in this movie. He plays the mad scientist character that creates Herman Munster.
The brain of a super genius transplanted into the body of a perfect physical specimen.
And I was not a fan of that character. I thought that character was way overdone. A lot of these characters were way overdone. But he also plays another character in this film that I did find very charming, and that was Orlok, also known as Nosferatu.
I'm gonna go.
Okay.
I thought that character was just funny. Like he was genuinely got a laugh out of me when he would do his little dance, if the tombs are rocking, don't come a knocking. He was a DJ. I would love to see Lester and Orlok actually have their own TV series or something, like Lester and Orlok go to Vegas or whatever. A small, goofy movie like that. That would be very entertaining to me. And them two with Grandpa in this movie, they were the trinity of characters that I loved in this movie that I thought held this movie together as much as they could. And also his makeup as Orlok I thought was very well done. As a matter of fact, put all three of these guys in that same realm. Orlok, Lester, and Grandpa, all their makeup was really well done. And that's saying a lot because there's a lot of like costume designs and makeup that just do not work in this movie. We will talk more about that here in a minute, because some other cast decisions and characters in this movie are what's going to bring me to what I'm on the fence about when it comes to this film. Jeff Daniel Phillips. Listen, I have you on the fence, which is a positive thing, because when I saw the trailer, I thought you were going to shit the bed in this movie. I was like, nope, this is not my Herman Munster. It's a disrespect to Fred Gwynne and what he did with Herman Munster. And I will say this, it is a huge departure from the boyish charm that Fred Gwynne brought to the role of Herman Munster back in the 60s. But I will admit, as the movie progressed, Jeff Daniel Phillips' version of Herman Munster actually started growing on me. I started recognizing that kind of charm. It nowhere near the same ballpark as Fred Gwynne, but definitely had his own element to it. And it was something that actually grew on me. And I was surprised by that because I'd found his voice to be kind of obnoxious.
Greetings from Transylvania.
But over time, I kind of just got used to it. And then this dumb dad jokes that he would tell left and right, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of started looking forward to them a little bit.
How do you keep a grouchy, old, broken down vampire in suspense? I'll tell you later.
Because that is one element of the original TV series that I almost forgot about, and that was Herman Munster would make these terrible dad jokes all the time. He would make a stupid dad joke and everyone would kind of roll their eyes at him or whatever. And this movie reminded me that was a thing.
Besides, your name's on all the bath towels. And if I ever got married again, I'd have to find someone named Lily.
And I think he did a great job doing his own version of that. His laugh, I also found obnoxious, but it grew on me. His portrayal of Herman Munster grew on me. And that's good. Was it great? Nope. Wasn't great. But was it as bad as I thought it would be? Definitely not. So I will give credit where credit is due. Jeff Daniel Phillips, you won me over on your version of Herman. And if there was a sequel, which I kind of guess there's not going to be, but if there was, I would be perfectly okay with him jumping back into that role. Another thing I'm on the fence about when it comes to this movie is about the last 15, 20 minutes of it, because the last 15, 20 minutes of this movie were good. Maybe good's too strong of a word. They were decent. They were what I wanted this movie to be. Here's what changes in the last 20 minutes of this movie that is completely different from the rest of the movie. And that's because the rest of the movie, they're in Transylvania around all these other monsters and creatures and ghoulish-like characters. And that's not what the Munsters are. That's not why the show is so successful. That's not why people tune in to the Munsters and watch it. They tune in because it's the freakish family around normal people. And that's the element that we enjoy. And we don't get that because they're in Transylvania the entire fucking movie. But when they come to Hollywood and you plop them down in front of these normal people, it actually got a chuckle out of me. Like, okay, this is the Munsters that I enjoyed. This is the Munsters that I like. It needs to be in this element. And this 2-hour fucking long movie spent an hour and 40 minutes of itself in Transylvania. It should have been the other way around. We should have zipped them over to Hollywood way in the first act, or at least early in the second act, and went on from there. That's where this franchise resides. Like the Addams Family. You can't do the Addams Family and put them around the rest of their Addams Family. They have to be around normal people to be like, oh yeah, they're freaks and they don't realize it. Munsters, same thing, but even worse because they're like literal Frankensteins put together in Draculas. Unlike the Addams Family, which is just some weird kooky ass, I don't know what they are. What are they? Mutants? Science experiments gone wrong? Who knows? Either way, I think I'm dragging out my point a little too long here. The Munsters should be around normal people because that's the dynamic that they need to be in. And we got it in the last 20 minutes of this fucking long-ass movie. But with that said, I did enjoy those last 20 minutes. Well, except for the very last line, which we'll talk about in a minute. But all in all, I thought it was worthy enough to put it on my what I'm on the fence about list. And That's about it when it comes to what I like, what I'm on the fence about. Now let's move right along with what I don't like about this movie. Just about everything in this film. just about everything, honestly. This movie, I don't know who this movie's for. You could say, well, Steve, this movie's specifically for kids, right? Right? But, I mean, you could say that, but the jokes don't say that. The jokes are very, like, old jokes. I mean, there's a joke about, like John Wayne, you know, and Tarzan's chimp. What kid is going to know who the fuck John Wayne is? These aren't jokes for kids. These are jokes for adults done in a very childish manner. It's a very odd duality. Parts of this movie seem like it's a fan-made film for people who love the Munsters. Some parts seem like it wants to take a modern twist on the Munsters and give us a new idea and fresh take on it. And then other parts just, like I said, just seem like it's trying to aim for kids, but the jokes aren't for kids. There is a literal butt-fucking joke in this movie. Does your little 6-year-old Jimmy son of a bitch want to hear a butt-fucking joke in his children's movie? Probably not. And if you want to know what scene I'm talking about, go back to the scene where Igor and the Count are discussing about the pool boy. Then you'll get your butt fucking jokes there. It's a fun, family-friendly comedy. Right, Rob Zombie? Nailed it.
A man that every time he enters my crypt, it's like a stake through my dead black.
The tone is all over the place. I don't know who this movie belongs to. Then I started thinking about it while writing my review here. And I figured out who this movie belongs to, who it was made for. Specifically, it was made for Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie made a movie for himself. No one else. No one else matters. Rob Zombie did what he wanted to do. Universal Studios gave him money to do it. They're like, here, take our money and do a passion project. No. Don't worry about everyone else's opinion on this property that really needs new life breathed into it. Just do what you want to do, because that seems to work for you, Rob. Even though you've had your past few movies fan-funded because no one wants to give you money for movies, and this is why. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and shit on Rob Zombie too much because he actually is responsible for some of my favorite movies. Like Halloween. If you haven't seen it, I did a review for Rob Zombie's Halloween. It's my favorite Halloween film. I haven't done a review for House of a Thousand Corpses, but I guarantee you I will, and I'm going to love it because I love that movie. I think he's a great director, and I really wanted this to be his new thing, but he didn't do it for fans. He did it for himself. Does that make sense? I know there's fans of Rob Zombie that will love this movie because Rob Zombie made it, but the fans of Munsters, I don't think are going to love this because I'm a fan of the Munsters. I didn't love this movie, which brings me to the fact that Rob Zombie needs to literally just take a step back and let somebody else take control of the writing, because the writing is terrible in this movie. It's one of the worst aspects. No, it is the worst aspect in this movie. It's not funny. It has funny parts, but that's more like the actor's delivery, less than Rob Zombie's, dialogue. He needed somebody in that writing room with him. I think he has the talent. I know he has the talent to direct this movie in a good way, but he didn't, and we'll talk more about that here in a second. So I do think he's a very talented director, but you're not a comedy writer. It didn't work. Why wouldn't somebody go over this script with you? Why wouldn't you let somebody go over this script with you? That's right, because you made a Rob Zombie film, you don't give a fuck who cares about that. It's your movie. You're going to do what you do, Rob Zombie, and you did, and it sucks. What are you going to do about it now? Probably nothing, because I don't know who's going to hire you unless you do more fan-funded things, so good luck with that. But as I said, this movie was barely funny. It didn't really have any plots. No real plots, no consequences to anything. Things just happened. We went skit to skit to skit. As a matter of fact, my friend and I who were watching this movie actually got a good laugh because we started calling those skit marks, because Rob Zombie's skit mark is all over this motherfucker. You want to know where the family pet Spot came from? Well, here's a pointless storyline of how he got there. It's very quick, very done. Boom, we got Spot. Moving on. Hey, you want to know why Grandpa has a bat named Igor? Here's a pointless storyline again to tell you why he has a bat named Igor. Oh no, we lost our mansion. We might as well move to Hollywood because we have to be there by the end of the movie somehow. So let's just go there because... Oh no, what are we going to do for money? Don't worry, I just won millions of dollars in Vegas. Yay, we're rich now. Money's not an issue. What the fuck? That's not storytelling. That's plot convenience after plot convenience after just anything. Just plot conveniences. That's all it is. There's no real storytelling here.
Rob Zombie brings you the greatest love story ever told.
This wasn't a love story. This is just two people that infatuated with each other and then they got married. There's no love story. There's no story. There's just the love's there, the story's not. And alongside with the writing is Rob Zombie's directing style. Like, I normally like Rob Zombie's directing style. It's very good for what he does. And this movie is not what he does. And he still applied it in this movie. It was weird, like handheld camera type of stuff that usually works for his stuff. But again, this isn't his normal wheelhouse. He still tried to do it. Then you had these weird, like, cutaway scenes. It kind of reminded me of the Austin Powers cutaway thing when they would change scenes. Randomly put in this movie for no fucking reason. It wasn't even changing a scene. It was odd. It was just an odd thing. There's a point in this movie where they're driving to Hollywood, and for some reason it's in black and white, unlike the rest of the movie. And also, the background is all cartoon. It was all hand-drawn cartoons. I don't understand the creative choices here. And I appreciate Rob Zombie has a passion for this franchise. It's one of his childhood favorites, and I appreciate that. But you got to modernize them, man, because here you are trying to bring Munsters into today's modern age, but you're still using jokes and references and costume designs from before. And let's talk about this costume design, shall we? These costumes are terrible. Like, this movie is one giant Spirit Halloween commercial, because all the costumes in this movie, well, 90% of the costumes in this movie are like those costumes you would find when you shop for your Halloween costume a little too late and you got slim pickings. That's what a lot of these are. And I understand. He was trying to call back to the original TV series because that's the budget that they had. And he was like, oh, well, I'm just going to do what the original TV series did. It didn't work, Rob. You have to modernize that. If you're going to bring them into the modern world, bring those costumes too, because they just look cheap. Outside the costumes and directing and writing, the cinematography, I was not a fan of. I could be a fan of it if it just wasn't so in my face vibrant. I thought it was just a little too much. That really added to that Spirit Halloween feel. And also, the last thing I'm going to bring up is Sharon Moon Zombie. Listen, Sharon, I've been an advocate of yours. I think you do okay in movies. I think you should have taken a back seat for this one. You're trying to fill the shoes of Yvonne Del Caro, which played the original Lily Munster. She also played Moses' wife in The Ten Commandments. This is pretty big shoes to fill, and you have, well, small feet. It wasn't for you. You weren't right for this role. You sound like somebody's kind of lightly shaking you all the time.
I understand if you don't feel the same. I'm just a regular gal living a boring, normal life.
And then you do this weird, like, thing like this, where you do that, like, every 5 seconds.
I'm gonna go. Oh, I guess we're gonna have to get used to it.
Yeah, you didn't work at all. You're actually one of the worst aspects of this movie. Overall, this was a poor concept of breathing new life into an old dead franchise. But it was a great attempt at paying Rob Zombie to do whatever he wanted, because that's what he did. Rob Zombie made the best Munsters movie for himself. My hat is off to the actors that tried to carry this movie on their shoulders, but overall, your attempts didn't help the burden of watching this poorly written, badly shot, long Spirit Halloween commercial. But I'm sure Rob Zombie loves it. And for all these reasons, I'm giving this movie an F.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good, though.
It could have been a lot better.
I didn't really like it.
It was pretty terrible.
It was bad.
It was awful.
It was terrible.
Get him away!
Hey, boo!
Boo!
There you have it, guys. There's my review for Rob Zombie's The Munsters remake, prequel, whatever the fuck this thing is, modernized telling of an old story. I don't know. I don't give a shit. I don't think I'll ever watch this again. Now, I do have a question for people that are still with me in this review. Do you have kids, and have your kids watched it, and what do they think of this movie? Really like to get some genuine opinions on how kids are reacting to this movie, because I could vaguely see this being like a successful, almost like the Flintstones, like from the early 90s kind of vibe for children. I don't know, though. I could be wrong, or maybe the kids hate it too, and you're wondering why their parents are making them watch a shitty movie. But let me know all that stuff down in the comments below. Also, be sure to check out some more of my videos, and as always, stay trigger happy, my friends. Peace.
Hey, numbskull! When they made me, they broke the mold! With you in it, I presume! No! I think it was out by that point!